Here on Longacre, you can see lots of big name shops, but this film was about the community that lives above them.
It's quiet. I mean, you don't realise that there's so many people down on the streets.
To me, it's still paradise.
It's always been a thing for me about Covent Garden. It was always a village. It's great.
Yeah. It's my home.
Lovely community. Couldn't wish for better.
In the late 1960s, plans were drawn up for the redevelopment of Old Covent Garden to include more commercial buildings. But a strong resistance from local residents and businesses under the banner of the Covent Garden Community Association forced their withdrawal. In 1973, the government instructed the Greater London Council to draw up new plans with full public participation. The GLC were convinced by the Covent Garden Community Association to build new public housing to cater for local families and other residents who had been forced out of the area and wanted to return. They were able to steer the development process and shortlisted 50% of tenants from the local area to retain the bonds of the existing community. They targeted the main development opportunity in the area, the old Odhams print works, which had been damaged by fire. At the GLC, Donald Ball's team of architects, including Gordon Cullen, created an original design with 102 patio flats set at different heights and accessed by open walkways. All are centred around an internal ground floor court, which allows public access through the site and includes some shops. The whole block is set above shops which surround the perimeter and an underground car park. The site was completed in 1981 and tenants moved in immediately. This year, Odhams Walk received a Housing Design Award, which recognised it for being a housing estate which has succeeded in flourishing in the 25 years since it was built. But what are the elements that have allowed Odhams to succeed where so many other housing estates have failed? This film will tell the story of how three main elements have combined to make it a success: the design and architecture, the effective management, and a consistent community.
When you come in here, is you feel it's an oasis of calm, and you feel that people have got privacy. You know, you see balconies, they've all been customised mainly with plants, which is obviously fantastic. So it gives that sense of, you know, a hard edge next to some, you know, pretty mature vegetation now.
Living in this place, I mean, it's like living in a village without any traffic.
You've got room to move outside. If you haven't got a patio, you've got big patios upstairs.
The different levels, isn't it? Because you are overlooked sometimes, but it's not. You don't feel it's that intrusive.
Yeah, well, this is flour, this is veg, and that is veg. This is Jackie, this is me, and that is me. All salads, all type of salad.
When you're up here at weekends, and if you get a bit of sunshine, it's fantastic, and everybody's out doing the gardening and there's birds and everything.
To have an open space as well in the middle of it was nice, and the kids loved it.
It's very private. I lock my gate, nobody can see through, and I get the kit off. I don't believe in white bits.
It's an ideal place for people to come down the little alleyways and the lift.
You get the odd people that come in, we're very careful, and we see them. It's like, okay, you know, what are you doing here? You don't live here. What are you up to?
Theft and burglary is low here, I think, because there is always somebody moving around.
Feel safer. There are gates which are shut at 8 p.m. I think, and so it's quite safe and friendly here. Real nice.
This is probably one of the few estates that has shops immediately underneath it, and it does cause friction between the residents and the shop owners because of noise. They start very early in the morning, they go on very late at night.
But there's an awful lot of little hidden doorways, you know, people's front doors that it might be down a dark passage. We've put in extra lighting to help that.
Come around, my friends, stop and talk from that wall, from this wall.
They'll wave to one another, and it's lovely, great.
it's got a kind of a holiday feel to it, and you can see all your neighbours and wave, and, you know, and chat to people. And my friends John and Janie over there have lots of barbecues and stuff. So
it's not scary. It's intimate spaces which enable people to say, well, I'll plant this, and I can do this.
So the design, though not perfect, provides a variety of flats of a different size, many with private outdoor balconies. It allows residents to interact without imposing too much on privacy, and it encourages a flow of people and natural surveillance by residents to improve the security on site.
Soon after the GLC disappearing and the management between the commercial and residential being separate, then all the management problems began, especially when there were leaks or defects, and everybody was in dispute about who was responsible to do it and repair it and do it effectively, because no one was taking an overall view.
In 2002, the Residents' Association at Odhams became a tenant management organisation, a TMO, managed by the Westminster Almo City West Homes. This allowed them to employ 2 on-site staff, Alison Oswald, the estate manager, and Charlie Healy, the estate caretaker.
City West Homes became an arm's length management organisation, an ALMO. We were one of the first in the country to become an ALMO, and what we basically did was separate the strategy from the direct housing management within the organisation. In particular, we work with tenant management organisations to take them through the development process of becoming from a residents association through to tenant management, and then we work with them once they are live and they're actually carrying out the housing service.
So what does their daily work involve?
And we've put in CCTV cameras, digital aerials for all the residents. So we've managed to improve the quality of their lives with major projects that we've found the funding for ourselves out of our own budget.
Helping people move stuff, minor repairs, anything like that, litter picking. In general, just trying to keep the place tidy.
I've just been down to one of the local shops because delivery is at 7:15 and their delivery man's shouting and swearing at each other, throwing boxes around. We just had some buskers at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and very pleasant it may be for the tourists. If you're coming off a night duty, it can be quite an intrusion.
I mean, even though I'm not on 24-hour call, I only work my certain hours, you still do get calls, obviously, in emergencies. You have a lot of elderly residents who sometimes have problems.
By the fact that we're around and we notice the changes in people's habits and stuff, if Kit's not at your window within a couple of hours, somebody's going to be knocking on your door to check that you're okay. It might be helping them fill in a housing benefit or form, or you know, trying to get their daughter into a school, or something that's beyond the housing officer's role. I'm small enough to be able to organise that if somebody wants to buy their own tiles and upgrade to a higher quality and higher specification and have the whole floor, walls and ceiling tiled, I can arrange for them to pay extra to allow that extra service.
She's just backs us 100% and the decisions that the committee makes. She does tell us off sometimes if she feels that we're not making the right decision, but she's a good manager.
What makes a good TMO manager?
Well, it's somebody with a bit of gumption, actually, and also personality and friendliness.
You need someone who is outgoing, who won't be trodden down, who can actively get involved in what goes on, doesn't mind getting their hands dirty, and it's no good having a very ladylike or gentlemanly-like idea because you're going to deal with builders.
The TMO is very, very good. It's very satisfactory, and Alison's great. And it's very nice to have something on site where if you've got any problems you can just go down and have a chat. It's much easier than sort of hanging on the telephone to Westminster for hours and hours.
Before, as a residents association, they could campaign, they could try to get things done, but sometimes it may have fallen on deaf ears. As a TMO, they're in control of it themselves. You know, they can see the improvements on the grounds maintenance, they can see the improvements on the cleaning. The standards across Odhams are fantastic, and once they see quick results like that, I think it encourages more people to get involved.
The TMO, best thing we ever did was having a TMO.
And of course we put in CCTV. Now the CCTV cameras we've put in through the money we've saved with the TMO, which made this estate an awful lot safer, especially on the stairwell.
A lot of local authorities have lost the local service that tenant management can actually bring to residents on the estate. Thumbs up, you know, in terms of satisfaction. Thumbs up in terms of the direct housing management. You know, it's a win-win situation.
So having the TMO on site means that residents have got somebody to go to resolve problems quickly, and they get a more tailored level of service. The Almo City West homes can monitor progress, and the residents have a stronger voice within Westminster City Council.
Westminster and Camden were obliged to take names that the GLC chose, which we put forward from people in housing need of the area. So 50% of the people who came to occupy here knew each other, and it worked. And it needs to work because the design of the building is very communal. The corridors, the spaces, the staircases, and the communal gardens.
The actual family has been involved in Covent Garden since the 1850s, so we're about 5 or 6 generations. Mostly worked in the print or in the flower or veg market. There's about 5 or 6 relatives that actually live in this block as well, related to either by cousins or aunts and uncles. And I think that's why we feel that we are involved, and that, you know, we really must keep the community run by our siblings being able to live in this area and in this block.
Well, my children are 5th generation Covent Garden, so we go. My great-grandfather had the fish shop on the corner, and I had uncles that worked in the old Covent Garden market, and my grandmother used to shell peas. I can remember her sitting on her box in Endell Street, just round the corner here, shelling peas, and I can remember we all used to line up and nick the peas. It was great.
I think one of the reasons for me that it works the way it does is there is such a mixture of people living here. You know, if this were on the market for private sales, and people would snap your arm off to be here, but I don't know that I would be that keen on living around the people who had done precisely that.
The government introduced the right to buy in the 1980s, and just under 40% of Odhams residents bought their own flats. Some still live here, but many sublet. So how has that affected the balance of community here?
To sustain the community and to keep the balance as it is going to be quite hard.
Well, the ones that came to start with, which is now 26 years, they obviously are very interested in it because it is their home, and it's their home long term, not a passing through.
It's quite hard to bring in the subtenants of absent lessees possibly, and get them to be part and join in the community.
From the local point of view, it would be far better if people from the area could still come here. Lessees, when they buy here, come because Covent Garden is a wonderful place to live, but they're not necessarily interested in the community side of things, which is a great shame.
We have secured some right of having a priority list where we can interview, and people who've got a connection to the area will hopefully have that priority to get the available flats as and when they come up.
This place has evolved. It's like an established garden with a few weeds and a lot. No, it has. But that's all part of the Covent Garden bit.
Mainly we have a resident called Anne Leslie who does most of the gardening work. Well, she's self-appointed, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, she's the only one that does it. Well, I'd like that quoted, definitely.
So the community at Odhams has remained consistent for many reasons, but largely because of a selection of residents with a strong historical bond to the local area, and also because of the high quality of life here at Odhams, which has encouraged people to stay and look after the place and community themselves in the long term.
It just goes to show that, you know, that creating great housing is not just about architecture. You know, it's about place, it's about people, and this is an example of place, people, and some decent architecture coming together.
We've still got ladies who in an apron and slippers will go and get a pint of milk. That's the essence of London, and that's the essence of Covent Garden, and it has got a spirit which is beyond marketing.
Well, we're all friends. Everybody's nice to me. You couldn't fault one.
There's a lady who just lives along the balcony, and she's got absolutely nobody. She's got no family, no children. And, you know, I help her with her shopping and things, but she's housebound now. And, you know, I can see when she sees me, she's really happy, you know. It's just keeping that
something going, you know, just being there for each other, well, for neighbours as well.
I want to stay here all my life, and now my wife will stay here, and then after that my children.
This, I've never been so happy. I love it.
I wouldn't live anywhere else, I really wouldn't.
So the consistent community, combined with the design of the place and effective management, have made Odhams Walk a sustainable community. Though this is a very special site in what's become a high-value area, these lessons can be applied to the management of existing housing and to the ongoing planning of new communities.
Close up, just so that you see one, because you might want to see another one. This is a Covent Garden porter's badge, what I wear. I just thought I'd show you. That's my number.
Maybe people will begin to believe that we ought to have council housing again and use those words, council housing. Not affordable, not social, not all these horrible euphemisms, actually land that is owned by the public and people in ordinary housing need living in them.
Couldn't grumble at living in the West End like this, would you? Cost you a fortune.